Welcome back. Let's check in on other stories from around the world. Iraq's Prime Minister Al-Maliki says he will not give in to calls for a national salvation government to counter attacks by Sunni insurgents. During his weekly televised address, the Prime Minister urged all political forces to reconcile in the face of a fierce terrorist onslaught, but he's made no promises of creating a government with greater representation for the minority Sunni Arab community, which has long accused him of discrimination and monopolizing power.
He may have made no mention of who will be in the new government, but Mr. Al-Maliki affirmed his commitment to forming a new government on time. Concerning the idea of a national salvation government, he said it would only further destabilize the country. This was in response to the Shiite Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani's call for a government formation process to begin. The Marajaiya often means Sistani himself. U.S. officials have been careful not to outrightly call for Mr. Al-Maliki to resign, but Iraqi officials say they did that behind closed doors. Meanwhile, wary and afraid of further insurgency by the Sunni militants, thousands of Iraqi volunteers earlier today showed up at a football stadium in Basra to be signed up into the Iraqi army. Many had served previously in the army. The army says they will have to go through a refresher course before being posted. The volunteers have been responding to a call made by the Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani for all able-bodied men to take up arms and defend themselves and their country against the insurgents. Meanwhile, the United Nations is concerned that more violence and rising temperatures are making it more unbearable in a camp set up for those fleeing the fighting.
These people didn't have any place else to go, and they're depending upon the international community and the generosity of the people of this community for their survival.
At the Kalak transit camp located between Mosul and Erbil, 500,000 refugees have been trying to settle in. During a visit by the United Nations World Food Programme Executive Director, Tarin Cousin, families sheltered by newly erected tents and others waiting for shelter in the scorching heat told how they left their homes without anything but the clothes on their backs.
The challenge is that we do not have the necessary resources to provide the assistance that is required for a sustained period of time. We need the international community to continue to support our efforts here so that no family who has now come to find refuge goes without the basic food, water, and other assistance needs that the UN community and WFP is working to provide to them.
It's estimated that close to 500,000 people have been displaced in various parts of the country over the last few days because of the fighting in Mosul and surrounding areas. The WFP has launched an emergency operation to feed the conflict-affected population in Iraq, and its operation to feed over 500,000 people of the newly displaced people amid security and funding challenges. Jordanian forces, however, are on high alert at their frontier with Iraq. They must, as Sunni tribesmen took control of a border crossing between Iraq and Jordan. The militants earlier overran posts further north along Iraq's border with Syria, pursuing their goal of forming a caliphate straddling both countries that has raised an alarm across the Middle East and in the West.